Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Kit's Surprise. Chapter 3, The Wicked Ogre. Kit couldn't allow herself to cry for long. She knew that all her afternoon chores were waiting for her. A mother liked to give the kitchen floor a good scrub every Sunday night because there wasn't time during the week. Kit rolled over and sat on her bed. She saw Amelia Earhart smiling at her from the newspaper photograph near her desk. "Come on, Kit," Amelia seemed to say. "Gotta get up and go." Even though she still felt miserable, Kit wiped her eyes, blew her nose, and went downstairs in the kitchen. Mother had already put the chairs up on the kitchen table. She was filling a bucket with hot, soapy water in the sink. She turned to greet Kit with a smile, but her smile faded when she saw Kit's eyes had been red from crying. "Oh, Kit, darling," she said, and she dried her hands on her apron as she hurried over to put her arm around Kit. "Was it that bad at Uncle Hendrick's then? He's so fussy. And that awful what's his name? The Scotty dog." "Inky," Kit said. Mother smelled of soap spud, and Kit leaned herself against her. "He hates me." "The weight of that dog's heart is through his stomach," said Mother. "I've got some cheese rinds in the pantry. Even I can't figure out how to make them edible. You can give them to Inky tomorrow when you go there after school. That'll win him over." "Thanks, Mother," said Kit, not very cheered. "That's not all that's wrong, is it?" asked Mother. "No," admitted Kit. "Ruthie and I had a fight." "I see," said Mother. "What about?" Kit poured the whole story out about Ruthie's bright red dress, the ballet tickets, and the invitation to tea. "It was wrong of me to say no for you, too," she said, "but I couldn't help it. I was just so mad." Kit sighed. It used to be easy being friends with Ruthie. It isn't anymore." Mother nodded. "Your lives are very, very different now. Things that are possible for Ruthie are not possible for you." "The truth is," said Kit, "I'm jealous of her." "And she," said Mother, "is jealous of you." "Of me?" asked Kit, surprised. "But I'm the one who lost everything. Why would she be jealous of me?" "I don't know," said Mother. "I've had the impression that Ruthie envies you for having the boarders around, like a big interesting family. It's awfully quiet at her house. Maybe she envies how your life is more grown up now. People trust you to do important things." "I never thought of it that way," said Kit, sighing. "All I know is I'm sorry about the fight." "I wish we could use the telephone," said Mother. "The telephone had been turned off because they couldn't afford to pay the bill anymore. Then you could call Ruthie and tell that you're sorry." "Well, you'll see her in school tomorrow. You can make it better then." "Do you think so?" asked Kit hopefully. "Of course," said Mother. "It is never too late to repair a friendship." Mother lifted the pail of hot water out of the sink. "Let's scrub the floor now," she said. "I'm afraid it's never too late for that either." Mother was wrong. Kit was not able to patch things up with Ruthie the next day. Ruthie didn't stop to pick her up before school. Every time Kit tried to get Ruthie's attention during the morning, Ruthie turned away or hid herself in a group of girls. At lunchtime, in desperation, Kit wrote Ruthie a note and put it on her desk. She watched unhappily as Ruthie, watching, glanced at it, picked it up with 2 fingers as if it were a dead toad, and tossed it unopened and unread into the wastepaper basket. Then Ruthie sashayed off to lunch with a bunch of girls who were in her dancing class. Kit used to be in the dancing class too, but she had to drop out when her family couldn't afford that anymore either. Everyone noticed that Ruthie was shunning Kit. Sterling, who was actually pretty nice for a boy, tried to help. "Here," he said, "give this to Ruthie." He handed Kit a picture he had drawn. The picture showed Kit flying an airplane like Amelia Earhart's. The passenger in the airplane was Ruthie dressed as a princess. "Thanks, Sterling," Kit said, but she was afraid to give the drawing to Ruthie after what she said about princesses being babyish. So Kit put Sterling's drawing away in her book bag. After 3 days of getting the cold shoulder, Kit gave up. It was clear that Ruthie was too mad to forgive her. She wouldn't even give Kit a chance to apologize. When Ruthie had said they couldn't be friends anymore, she meant it. School closed for vacation, and Kit and Ruthie still hadn't spoken. Usually, Kit loved Christmas vacation because it meant she had more time to spend with her family this year. But this year, all it meant was that she had more time to spend with Uncle Hendrick and Inky. Uncle Hendrick still claimed he felt poorly, so every morning, after doing her chores at home, Kit went to his house. She walked there and back so she could save the streetcar fare. Her pile of nickels was growing. That was the only good thing about going to Uncle Hendrick's house. "Good gracious, you careless child, don't use so much string," Uncle Hendrick fussed at her one day as Kit was trying to tie up a bundle of newspapers for him. "Do you think string grows on trees? I suppose you learned your wasteful ways from your spendthrift parents," he snorted. "They think that money grows on trees. Holes in their pockets, those two." Kit bit her lip to stop herself from saying to Uncle Hendrick, "That's not true." He never missed a chance to be critical of her parents. He lectured her how they deserved their poverty because they had been extravagant and lived beyond their means. It made Kit furious. Sometimes she thought Uncle Hendrick was trying to make her mad on purpose so she wouldn't come back. But Kit could be ornery too. The meaner Uncle Hendrick was, the more she was determined not to give up. She couldn't give him that satisfaction. At the end of the day, Uncle Hendrick had errands for her to do on her way home. Every errand came with fuss-budgety instructions. "Take these shoes to be shined," Uncle Hendrick commanded one blustery day. "Here's a dime to pay for it." He shook his finger at Kit. "Tell that man I demand good value for my money. The last time he left a scuff mark on the shoe. Tell him don't think I didn't see it." "Yes, sir," said Kit. She put the shoes in her book bag and the dime in her pocket. "Leave these shirts at the laundry," said Uncle Hendrick. "Tell them to put starch in the collars and cuffs only. And tell them I don't want to see any buttons broken like the last time, or I'll deduct the cost of the bookings from their bill." "Yes, sir," said Kit again. "Goodbye." She gathered up the shoes, put on her coat, and left. The laundry was closest, so Kit dropped off the shoes first. Then she trudged along to the shoe shine shop. When she got there, a terrible sign met her eyes. There was a big hand-lettered sign on the door. Kit stood there in the bitter cold, wondering what to do. One thing was sure, Uncle Hendrick would bite her head off and howl worse than Inky if she brought back those shoes unshine. So Kit took the shoes home. Using her dad's rags and polish, she shined them herself, rubbing her arm until it ached. She carried the shoes back to Uncle Hendrick's house the next day, bracing herself for his persnickety words of criticism. Before she could explain, Uncle Hendrick took the shoes from her. "There," he said, "that's what I call a job well done. Let that be a lesson to you, Kit. You can only get your money's worth if you insist upon it." I think this is the one and only time he uses her name. I mean, I don't recall him saying her name in other stories. Anyway, Kit hid a smile. "Here's your dime back," she said. "The shop was closed. I shined the shoes." "You?" said Uncle Hendrick. He studied the shoes again, then narrowed his eyes at her. "Then you earned your dime," he said brusquely. "Keep it." Kit put the dime in her pocket. Then she faced Uncle Hendrick bravely. "Uncle Hendrick," she said, "I've been thinking, may I work for you? If I pick up your groceries, may I keep the tip you usually give to the delivery man? If I deliver your letters, may I keep the cost of the stamps? And if I—" "Stop!" shouted Uncle Hendrick. "You pester the life out of me. Get this straight once and for all, child. I don't care who does the work as long as it's done to my satisfaction. You may keep any money you earn. Understand?" "Yes, sir," said Kit. "Good," said Uncle Hendrick. "Now don't bother me about this again." That was all Kit needed to hear. Starting whenever she could, Kit did Uncle Hendrick's jobs herself. She polished his shoes. She delivered his letters. She fetched his groceries. She brought him his paper. She washed his windows, and then washed them all over again because Uncle Hendrick said he saw streaks. Kit wanted to earn enough money to pay the electric bill, which she knew was about $2.35. Every day she counted up the money she earned to see how close she was to getting to her goal. 5 days before Christmas Eve, Kit had $1.55. She needed 80 cents more. She knew she could earn 10 cents a day by walking instead of riding the streetcar. That would be 50 cents, but it was going to be tough to learn the last 30 cents. Still, Kit was determined, even though Uncle Hendrick's chores were hard. The winter streets were often slippery, and the winter darkness came earlier and earlier. But Kit kept saying to herself, "Think of how surprised Mother will be when I give her the money I've earned." The thought kept her going when The cold wind made her eyes water, and slush seeped through her dress and froze her feet. Sometimes Kit had to take dreadful old Inky with her when she did her errands. He wound his leash around her legs and tried to trip her or roll her in a puddle, and then shake so that cold, dirty water splattered all over her. The clink of her coins in her pocket helped Kit put up with Inky and with Uncle Hendrick, too, even when he was at his most cantankerous. There was one errand Kit liked to do, even though it didn't earn her any money. Every few days, Uncle Hendrick sent her to the public library to return his books and pick up new ones the librarian set aside for him. The huge public library seemed like a shush warm heaven to Kit, filled as it was from floor to ceiling with books. Unfortunately, she never had time to linger there. Uncle Hendrick was always in a big hurry to get his books, which seemed odd because they were so dull and boring they always put him to sleep. It was during the afternoons, while Uncle Hendrick dozed, that Kit thought about Ruthie the most. She missed Ruthie. It would have been such a comfort to talk to her. She understands how hateful Inky was and how impossible Uncle Hendrick was. One especially long afternoon, Kit sat watching Uncle Hendrick snore in his chair. One of his dull books had put him to sleep. Inky was contentedly tearing the cover off Charlie's tennis ball. Kit reached into her book bag, only to find that she left the book she wanted to read at home. Instead, she pulled out a pad of paper. It was Sterling's sketch pad, the one he used when he made sketches of Kit as Amelia Earhart and Ruthie as a princess. Kit looked at his sketches. Then, without planning to, she began to write. Once upon a time, she began, and then the story seemed to sweep her away. It wasn't the kind of story she usually wrote for her newspaper. The story was not about facts. It didn't report what was really happening. The story was about a completely different world. The kind the world really liked. A world that was imaginary. In this world, Kit could make anything she wanted to happen. While she was writing, Kit forgot she was stuck in Uncle Hendrick's dreary house. She forgot about her family's money troubles and the fact that the boarders might leave and the fact that her family might be evicted from her house. All that disappeared while she was in the world of her story. When Uncle Hendrick woke up and blinked his eyes open, Kit felt herself snap back into the world, as if she were waking up, too, from a wonderful dream. Kit hurriedly shoved the sketchbook back in her book bag, thinking, Ruthie was right. Make-believe does make your troubles disappear for a while. Kit wished she could tell Ruthie that she understood about make-believe now. Then Kit remembered that she and Ruthie weren't friends anymore. They weren't even speaking to each other. After that first afternoon, Kit wrote more of her story every day. She began to look forward to her writing time, when only the sounds in their grim old house were Uncle Hendrick's snores, the hollow ticking of the clock on the mantel, and Inky's slobbery snuffles. Soon Kit began to see that writing made all of her day better. She thought about her story when she was outside doing errands, and it was distracting her from the cold and her tired feet. She paid close attention to how things looked or smelled or sounded, trying to find just the right words to describe them for her story. When Uncle Hendrick woke up and fussed at her, it didn't bother her anymore. She listened very carefully in case she wanted to use anything he said in her story, because Kit had discovered that Ruthie had been right about something else too. There was a wicked ogre in Cincinnati, Uncle Hendrick. And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.